Hi guys, thank you for joining me for another video. Today I'm going to be doing a review of this, the Pawhut Hamster cage. So this is a cage I've been using for around 5 months now, so I thought now would be a good time to make a review on it. I wanted to wait a little bit before making a review on this cage because my main worry about it was how long it was going to last, because this cage is made completely out of wood. I didn't want to review it a couple of weeks in and then wake up one morning to find Polo just chilling in the middle of my room after chewing a hole in the back. So I wanted to wait a little bit just to see if it would last, and thankfully Polo is still inside the cage, so I'm going to review it today. So I'm calling this the Pawhut Hamster cage, but Pawhut do have a couple of cages marketed towards hamsters and they don't appear to have their own model names or anything. So I have the rectangular cage with the 2 shelves. So this cage is a really good size. It measures 115 centimeters by 60 centimeters, making it a similar size to the IKEA Detail. I know a lot of people like to talk about cages in square inches of floor space, so I've done my best to convert it, and I believe it's around 1070 square inches. So I thought I'd start off by showing you a couple of my favourite features of this cage. So starting off with the clear front. Now I know this one is pretty much a personal choice, but I'm not really a big fan of barred cages. And previous to this, Polo lived in a DIY bin cage, so the visibility in this one is so much better than before. While it doesn't make it a better cage for your hamster, I do think it's nice to be able to see them. So the front of this cage isn't made from glass like a Detolf or a fish tank, but it does mean that it's a lot lighter and a lot easier to move around. The next thing I want to talk about is the height of the cage. So this cage is super tall. It measures about 57 centimeters, so you'd have no problem fitting a wheel for a Syrian in here, and obviously you can fit in a lot of bedding as well. Another thing I like about this cage is the lid. Now this lid is super light and easy to open. I also like that the cage has these pieces of wood attached at the side here, and you can use these to prop the lid open. So this cage does come completely flat pack, so you do have to build it yourself, but I think that's pretty useful because once this thing is built, it is pretty hard to move around. One reason is the base isn't a solid base. It does have a drawer that comes out, so it's not the easiest thing to carry around while keeping together, so you kind of want to build it where it's going to stay. But another bonus to being able to build it yourself is you can choose whether to include the shelves or not. So this cage comes with 2 shelves. The main negative to these shelves is they can only fit at a certain height. So there are wooden bars that run around the outside of the cage, and the shelves have to sit on top of them. So you can't change the height at all. And personally, I find the bottom shelf to be pretty low. Because the shelves can hold a lot of things, I did decide to include them at first because I do like the idea that you can add so much enrichment on them. So currently I do still have both of the shelves in. These wouldn't be too tricky to remove, but you do have to remove the front of the cage in order to take them out, so that is something to bear in mind whether you're keeping them in or taking them out. If you want to then later add them or remove them, the front of the cage does have to come off because the shelves go in before the front goes on. While the tray at the bottom isn't super necessary because it's not like you can pull it out with all the bedding in, because obviously it wouldn't come out with all the bedding on top of it, the tray itself is coated slightly with a protective coating, and I do find the tray useful for when doing a deeper clean. Because of the shelf, it is pretty hard to get into the back corners, so being able to pull the tray out and clean it like that is a lot easier because the back corners are pretty hard to get to. So my cage did come with a couple of cosmetic faults. These were nothing that really affects how I use the cage, but I just thought I would mention them. Personally, I don't mind them too much because I did get the cage for a really good price. So there are just a couple of marks on the clear panels at the front of the cage, just from how it was made. I think nothing too major, and you can't really see them unless you're looking for them. So I bought this cage from eBay and I paid about £40 for it. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I did buy it on Black Friday, so I do remember there was some money off. But the price of this cage varies. It normally sits at around the £50 mark, so that's sort of what I expect it to be at when it does appear, but it's also pretty hard to find and it's not listed all of the time either, so it's definitely something you have to keep your eye out for. It's not just going to be there if you want to look for it. So overall, would I recommend the cage? Yes, I would. I think it is a great cage. While I do recommend the cage, I do also realise it is a bit of a risk. I wouldn't buy this cage and guarantee that it's going to work for you, because there is the risk that your hamster is going to chew out of it. Personally, I've been very lucky and I haven't experienced that at all. I think the cage has a lot more positives than it does negatives, and even though it's a bit of a risk, if you can buy the cage while it is on at a good price, I think it is completely worth it. So that's pretty much all I have to say. I think I've covered everything I wanted to talk about this cage. If you do have any questions about it, please leave them in the comments and I will get back to you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.